everybody, and welcome back to another episode of our Mystical Wellness podcast. Today, we are joined by the inspiring Lauren DSilva, and she is a healer, teacher, author, and channel who's been walking her spiritual path with passion and intention for nearly 30 years. Lauren is best known for her deep work with the Crystal Kingdom, and she's principal of Touchstone School of Crystal Therapy and has played a leading role in setting high standards for crystal training in the UK with her work with the ACHO. And she's also an author of 3 powerful books, which we're going to talk about today. Her books are Crystals, The Crystal Companion, and Light Behind the Angels and Messages from the Cosmos. And so through her work, her spiritual teachings and writing, Lauren inspires people worldwide to awaken, heal, and live with greater purpose. So Lauren, welcome. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good. I'm really good. And thank you for that lovely introduction. So it's always, I tell you, it's always amazing to hear yourself reflected back through other people's eyes. And you go, oh yes, I have done all that, haven't I? Well, I do all that.
And so much more as well. There's so much more, that we can talk about. So can you go back to the beginning and let us know how it started for you with your spiritual journey?
Gosh, right back at the beginning. It all began. Well, it didn't all begin. It began before then. I've always been a bit of a strange person, which I think probably most people can identify with that are on this path. I was always very sensitive as a child, incredibly sensitive. And I did get my first, I think there was a hint when I went to university, and one of the first things I bought was my deck of tarot cards that I still use to this day. There's still the deck I use for a daily pick. So, and I taught myself to pendulum dowels and all as a kind of a teenager. So there was always that side of me that kind of was drawn to the mystical. And I do remember looking deep into my eyes one night and going, you are a witch. And that felt like and I was really young.
I love that.
That was before all the teen witch stuff. I just knew there was something in me that wanted to be expressed. So that was the young me. And then that young me got sort of quietened down by career. I was a teacher in schools and having children and all those things that you get very busy with when you're a young working woman and mother. And then when I was pregnant with my son, my mum had a yoga teacher who was learning to be a crystal therapist. And she needed, as my students have done recently, she needed people to practice on. And I was invited to go. So that was my first real experience of crystal healing. I'd always liked crystals. I always thought they were really pretty. I'd always gazed at them, but I'd never thought of them as anything to do with healing. So I was actually quite skeptical. And I went along and I thought I'd just be obedient, go and lie on the couch. You know, what harm can it do? I mean, actually, I was pregnant. So I would say, if you are pregnant, girls, probably not the best thing to, but it didn't do me any harm at all. In fact, I had the most brilliant experience of feeling energy for the first time, moving around my body, feeling, I think something was happening at my feet and the healer was at my head, or the other way around. I can't remember, it's a long time ago now. And then I found I was crying into silent tears into the pillow. Oh, this is very strange. And I had a realization. I was about 6 months pregnant. I had a realization that I did not want to go straight back to work. I didn't want, and that was expected of me, that I would go straight back in full time into the classroom. I didn't want it. I wanted to spend time being a mum with my baby. And it did change my life in several ways, because I went home, I told my then husband I wasn't going back full time. I announced I'd be prepared to go back part time, but not full time. And I stuck with that. So it actually let me voice what was in my heart, but I hadn't even dared think, really. So that was major and precious. But also I went back for the other treatments as a case study, and I thought, wow, there is something to this. This therapy has got through to me like nothing else. And so I found out where she'd done her training in the next county to where I was. And once Jacob was born and lovely and healthy and everything, first of all, no, I found out a lady who she'd met on her training. This night school brochure came through the post when he was a little baby. And there was this woman's name in the night school brochure doing an introduction to crystal healing. And it was like, I'm doing that. And I loved it. 10 weeks, just loved it. And it was like I was just remembering the crystals. I just knew them. It was like, I know these guys. So it was so exciting. And then she told me where she trained. That was in the next county. And I went and did a 2-year diploma in crystal therapy. And then it just carried on evolving. So this is one of those, it kind of all links together. I wanted to mention tonight, I'm writing another book, which is Goddesses and Crystals.
Oh, that's amazing.
Which I absolutely love that topic.
Yeah.
And this kind of links, because it links to the chapter I've been writing at the moment, which is about Sulis. Because my first business with crystals was called Sulis Healing Arts, back when I was in the Midlands. And I joined up with a friend who I did the training with, and we decided we'd have a crystal stall and we'd do some healing together and we'd do a little bit of teaching together. And we chose a goddess name, and we chose Sulis, who is the goddess that was worshipped at Bath. So my first crystal business actually came together with my first goddessy thing as well. And then
you don't know this, but I think we were in lockdown and I was in a bit of a slump, and I'd kind of not been doing any spiritual work for a while. I wasn't doing any Reiki for myself or anything. And then I found that you'd listed a meditation with Sulis Minerva. And it was the very first meditation I ever did.
really,
You did it online and you took us on a journey to the baths
wow.
to meet with Sulis Minerva, and that was the first thing that kind of course corrected me back onto my spiritual journey. Yeah,
Wow.
so that's why you're one of my favorite mentors of all time, because you kind of rescued me in that moment, got me back on path, and you didn't know that.
I did not know that. Thank you so much.
So yeah, so I'm glad you brought up about Sulis Minerva. So that's amazing. Yeah, so I just thought I'd tell you that.
Oh, that is really precious. Thank
Yeah.
you. It's lovely. And this is the thing with healing and doing this kind of work. You don't know who you're touching all the time. You don't know where this is going and who's getting the benefit. And then these bits of feedback trickle in from unexpected places, and you go, oh, wow, really? Oh, that's so precious. So thank you so much. So yes, Sulis was the goddess that we connected with for our first business. And then the chapter I'm writing at the moment for the new book is about goddesses and that are healing goddesses. So we've got the first business under the auspices of Sulis Minerva. And then when I moved to Wales, and I moved to Llandrindod, Wales. And you think, well, okay, what's that got to do with goddesses? Well, in Llandrindod, the healing goddess of Llandrindod is right on our town crest, and it's Hygeia, who was one of the daughters of Asclepius. And I've got a staff of Asclepius over my shoulder there that my now husband, Steve, carved for me when he first met me. And so the healing goddesses are right in my blood, if you like. They're really super important to me. So this is one of the central chapters of the book I'm writing. And I'm going to stop there and let you ask a question, because I could ramble on.
We're on the Wirral. I remember when we did a workshop about Hygeia, that there's a statue in Port Sunlight in the, what is it, ladies? Is it the art gallery?
Yeah, the Lady Lever Gallery, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
It's beautiful.
And she has a snake wrapped around her arm, that kind of thing. Yeah, amazing. And that was the first time she come into my awareness, was on a workshop that you did. Amazing.
There you go.
Yeah.
So actually, if you haven't been to that that museum in Port Sunlight or that art gallery, oh, it's so worth it. It's so beautiful there, and it's a lovely statue of Hygeia. And snake, I say my snake staff is there, is part of the healing properties, because snakes continually grow through their life and they shed their skin. And when they shed their skin, they're shiny and new again. So they're a real symbol of healing, letting go of the past, coming through with shiny, new, fresh, healthy version of yourself. So that's who I've been writing about literally in the last week. I already had the rough chapter done, but earlier this year I went to Bath to pay a bit of a pilgrimage to Sulis, back to my roots, back to my healing roots. And I had a private experience, that sounds all wrong. Private entry to the crossbar, which is where the Sulis spring rises in this lovely fountain, and it's this little circular bath for the hot waters. And I had an hour in there to myself before it was open to other visitors. So that was really
So
special.
as you're writing the book, can you feel the goddess's presence coming in?
They're
Yeah, amazing.
The biggest issue I have had with this book, I've been writing it. I'm determined to complete the first draft and get it moving along because I've been writing it for the last 5 years. It has been a work of love, and it's so big, and to try and bring it down to some sort of normal book size has been a challenge. I'm on 60 something thousand words at the moment.
Oh,
It's
wow.
not finished.
Yeah.
But it will contain some of my visualizations. I really want a book deal with audio because it would just suit an audio book. It'd just be
You have a beautiful, soothing voice, perfect for meditations. Yeah, I love your meditation work. And so I can't wait to get into your podcast, Loving Your Sacred Vessel.
Yes, you can listen to my voice. If you go to Loving Your Sacred Vessel, and you will get a taste of my voice. And just before I came online, I had a message from someone to say that she loves to listen to my podcast, and her daughter goes to sleep to my voice at night because my voice is soothing.
That's amazing.
That is so lovely.
Yeah.
So the idea of Loving Your Sacred Vessel came about because I'd actually struggled with my own weight, as so many ladies do, for the whole of my adult life. And I'd had diet after diet after diet. I was a proper yo-yo dieter. Diet, really try hard, weight would go back up again as soon as I finished. I was so frustrated with it. And it was my weight was causing me some health issues. So I knew I had to do something, but I thought I cannot do another diet. And finally, which considering what I do for a living, I actually put all the diets down and tuned in and said, right, I'm going to listen. I'm going to pay attention to what my body needs, to what my guidance is. And by tuning in, actually the weight came off, which shouldn't sound that surprising really, should it? But it is exactly, having had such a stressful experience with dieting and such difficulties with accepting my physical body. I'd worked on the emotions and the mental body and the spiritual, but I'd never really connected properly, I don't think, with my physical. And this time I really dropped into my physical. But the really nice thing is I'm not skinny. I'm not going to kid people that I'm skinny, but I'm slimmer. I've got a pretty healthy BMI. My health issues went. I'm fitter than I've been all my adult life. And it stayed off, which is the really important thing. 5 years on, my weight's still pretty much the same as it was. It goes up a little bit, down a little bit. And it's easy. I'm not on a diet.
Yeah, I really enjoyed doing your Sacred Vessel courses that we did online. I even did it twice. And for me, it was about uncovering old core beliefs that I was raised with, like the clean plate attitude. Because my parents were older and we were raised like with my great grandmother in the house of like kind of wartime era cook. So you had to finish what was on your plate, even if you didn't like it. And that was instilled as a core belief for me. So realizing that throughout the course really did help me, I think. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I think it is for a lot of us of a similar kind of age, because food was scarce. And I still do think you should respect food. You shouldn't waste food deliberately, but there are better ways to look after the excess food you've cooked, like putting it in a Tupperware box and putting it in the fridge or the freezer, rather than trying to eat your way through it all.
Yeah.
And that is definitely one of the core beliefs that I had to work through as well. I was a fully paid up member of the Clean Plate Club, and it's not good. You're not listening to what your body needs. So yeah, I really enjoyed. There's some core principles that came through with Sacred Vessel, and then the Loving Your Sacred Vessel podcast is just sharing those with a wider audience. And it's small at the moment, so those that are listening to this podcast, please go and have a look at my Loving the Sacred Vessel podcast and hit that little notification button so that you get the episodes, because I would love for it to grow, because I really think we need to move away from diet culture and punishing ourselves and judging our bodies for not being skinny enough. You know, we need to love our bodies for working, for serving us, and try and help them towards health and towards better balance. So yeah, so it's slightly different. It does contain some of my spiritual stuff. It certainly contains some gentle visualizations, the podcast. It doesn't go as deep as the stuff I do with groups online, because I don't know who's listening on the other end. But I hope you'll enjoy it. And please tell me, please get in touch and tell me what you think and whether it's helping. I'd love that.
Tell us about your book, Light Behind the Angels, because when I read that book, I was quite surprised. What a journey! Amazing. I think I saw a side of you that I wasn't expecting. So yeah, tell us how that book came about.
I have no skeletons left in my closet. They're all out there. They're all in the book. You can buy it, you can read them. It was brought about when I mean, it starts before I met Steve. Oh, hello. Am I still there? Yes. It started before I met my husband, Steve, when I was at the end of my first marriage, and it just wasn't working. He's a nice man. I'm not going to say he wasn't, but it just wasn't working anymore. And things happened. Someone was brought in to distract me from trying to keep mending this marriage that wasn't working. So that was very necessary. And then through a chain of events, I met Steve, who is my husband now. And strange things started to happen, shall we say. Steve is a force of nature. I don't think you've met Steve in person, have you? You know of him.
But he did do like a shamanic depossession, shall we say, for me.
He's pretty
he's amazing
at what he does.
Yeah, very.
And this was before he knew he was a shaman. He was a high priest in a Wiccan coven when I met him. And it was kind of, I say, by synchronicity, we were brought together because he was in Manchester, I'm in Mid Wales, and we were introduced by a mutual friend. But when we met, some very weird stuff started to happen, and there was a big awakening. I was already on a spiritual path. He was already on a spiritual path, but a lot of past life stuff was coming to light. A lot of joint past life stuff was coming to light. And there was a lot of deep healing needed. So people have said to me, oh, it's such a page turner. Oh, I couldn't put it. You know, people have said they've fallen asleep with it kind of on their faces because they couldn't stop reading and they went so late.
I completed it in like 2 days. I think I really did just go straight through the book. Through it. Yeah. It was gripping.
So, spoiler alert, we got married. I'm still alive at the moment. So, you know, yeah, it was tougher to live than it is to read. Let's put it that way. It was a proper roller coaster of a spiritual awakening, a lot of past life clearing, a lot of quite difficult stuff to work through. But it is about being brave, really. I mean, I think if you get nothing else from this, and I didn't write this, it was my first book. I didn't write it expecting it to be healing for other people, but I've had a lot of messages from people to say it was. And I think it's just to sort of comfort people that the weird stuff does happen, that you're not losing your mind, And if you're brave, you'll get through it, and it can be cleared and it can be sorted out. And, more stuff happened. I've got enough for another book, really. I've half drafted.
That's exciting because there's so much about
Yeah,
Egypt in there, and there's just so
absolutely.
much. Yeah, it was a great
Yes,
book.
the big centerpiece past life was an Egyptian one where I was high priest. No, I wasn't. I was high priestess. He was high priest, and we were brother and sister back then, which was not unusual
Yeah.
back in Egypt. And things went, I'm not going to spoil it. Things went badly wrong. Let's just say it went very badly wrong. As
Yeah.
badly wrong as you can imagine.
Yeah.
And that needed a lot of healing. But it was,
Yeah.
I survived it. I'm better for it. I can be grateful for it now. At the time, if you'd asked me, I'm not sure I would have said that. But it needed to be told. It's a big story. It
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
be
That's
told.
amazing.
So
So, because when I put it into my chat GPT with a write up from the book, it says now, thousands of years later, their souls return to find forgiveness, release a powerful curse, and fulfill their sacred contract.
yeah,
Amazing.
that's it. And
That's
then
so awesome.
Steve's own powers came through more strongly as
Oh,
well. It
yeah.
was myself that benefited. So yeah, so it's
Yeah.
pretty pivotal to our journey, really.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Now, I've not read your book, Messages from the Cosmos,
let me
but
tell
I
you.
do love Starbrary quartz. And every time I go to Glastonbury, I go to the crystal stall in the market to get one. But this time they didn't have one. But they had a pile of Brazilian crystals, and I put my hand in and pulled out a Starbrary quartz. So,
Well done. They are hard to get labelled
yeah.
as Starberries now. So if you feel drawn to working with real cosmic crystal healing, do what Julia's done and search through. You want the top grade Brazilian
Yeah.
quartz from, I don't know how you pronounce it, Minas Gerais, or that's not how you pronounce it, but
Yeah.
it's a particular area of Brazil where they mine absolutely superb clear quartz.
Yeah.
And Starberries are engraved, for want of a better word. They've got a lot of markings on them. They're encoded. And when I came across the Starberries, I was, again, skeptical. It's funny how many of these things that I come at skeptical. I don't, I'm not that gullible, really. I kind of think, I'll believe it when I see it, or I'll believe it when I feel it, or whatever. So someone directed me at a crystal fair to one of the guys that I buy from, or used to buy from, who had some nice quality clear quartz. And I went across to him and he said, yes, these are called Starberries. And I thought, Starberries, what a new age name, I thought I'll be the judge of that. And then he got them out, and I thought, oh. And I spent all the money I had taken to the fair to spend on crystals for my students. And then I spent all the money Steve had in his wallet, and we bought as many of them as we could. And I got them home, and I wish actually I'd listened to myself, because having spent up, I got home and I thought I should just go and raid the bank account and buy the rest of his stock. And I didn't. It was the end of the day. He would have been packing up. I would have probably just got back in time. And I hadn't worked with them at this point, but there was just something in me said, don't buy the rest. And it was like, look, I've spent my budget. Anyway, I started cleaning them, and I am quite a grounded person. I know it probably doesn't sound it from what we've been talking about, but I have to be grounded to channel this stuff through. I got really ungrounded handling these new crystals, and I don't get ungrounded easily. I was like floating. And Steve said, oh, for goodness sake, ground yourself. You're a nuisance when you like that. Get down, So, and then the next day I did, I was only cleansing them. That's what I got ungrounded, just cleansing them, handling them a bit. Then I did a visualization with the first one that I'd picked out for myself because I just liked the shape. It was an unusual shape. And I went in the crystal, there was a portal, and I thought, oh, why not? Why not? What's the worst that can happen? So I went in, I stepped in. It felt like, to be fair, it felt like a nice portal. I went in, I found myself on another planet. And it's like,
Awesome.
okay, the sky is pink. And there's,
Oh,
well,
I've been to a pink planet like that.
yes, yes, the sky is
Ah,
pink. And there
yeah.
were these kind of buildings that looked like they were made kind of domed and,
I've been to that same planet. Oh
oh,
my
wow.
word.
And
No
do you
one
know
else
where
I
it is?
know
I
has
do
been
know
there.
where it is,
Do
right?
you? Because I didn't know where it was.
Yeah,
But I was working with the dragon
they
skull,
told
and,
me.
and I activated the car for the dragon skull. And then I asked where have I lived with dragons, and it showed me that planet with the domes. And
That's it.
so where was it? Can you say?
It was, I can. It's Andromeda.
Oh, of course, of course.
Uh, and it was an Andromeda
Oh, of
Starbrary, which I've
course.
realised now that particular formation is, but
Oh
it's
my
super,
god.
super rare.
Okay.
And they were really welcoming and beautiful, peaceful and lovely, almost like they'd just been waiting for me to turn up. And then it was like, whoa, I've got to investigate these crystals. They're
Yeah.
something else. And I was really kicking myself by then that I hadn't just gone back and got the rest.
Yeah.
Um, so I called some of my students together and we did some research, and then it was like, wow, these crystals are let's say the bee's knees, that's the polite way. And from there I started to get told how to use them, and that's what's in here. This is a very different book. If you've got the crystal one, the big one,
Yeah.
that's all very tidily written for the general public. This was kind of mad typing and writing my stuff down, and I wrote it more so I wouldn't forget what I'd done with them,
Yeah.
to keep the work that I'd brought through safe. It's very niche.
Right.
In the end, it's about healing with cosmic energy with one specific type of quartz. So it's super, super niche. But I do think it's important, and I'm being told, and I've been told for a while, when I've got my goddesses done, there's a bigger version to be
Yeah.
done with more cosmic crystals, not just the
I
stuff.
agree. I think it's really important as we move
So,
forward that we're anchoring in these cosmic energies in a bigger way. I agree. Yeah. That's so cool. So
so
tell
they
us
want to
about
help.
the
Yes,
God's Freed companion.
this one,
Yeah.
it's the Godfield.
Godfield, that's it.
Godfield.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one was brilliant because it was January. It was January 2020. I had a really full diary in January 2020. I had courses, I had a treat called Crystal Magic about to run in a few months' time. I was really booked up. And I got a commissioning editor email from Godsfield Publishing House, who are the ones that do the Crystal Bible, saying, would you be interested in writing a crystal book? And it was like, and we've got a really short deadline. And I was like, oh my goodness, well, how? But yes, because I was approached years before, probably like, I don't know, 15 years before, a long time, by another publishing house to do a crystal book, by the founder of quite a big one now. His publishing house has grown. It was a new publishing house at the time. He asked me to do a crystal book, and at the time, why do we self-sabotage? Podcast episode. I said no. I said, oh, I'm not ready. And I regretted it ever since. So I promised myself that if I ever got asked again by a publisher, I would say yes, come what may. And I did. And I only had, I think, it was about 4 months. It was a really short deadline to write a 60,000 word book.
That's
And
amazing.
of course, so that was a bit scary, but I thought I'm going to make it work if I have to stay up all night.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it's a subject I know really, really well. So I said yes. I signed the contract and thought I'm going to make it work. I'm just going to make it work. And then, of course, we know what happened in 2020. Suddenly, my diary was no longer full. At that time, I was doing in-person clients, and my retreat had to be cancelled, and my courses had to be cancelled, and I had an empty diary. And suddenly, I was a full-time writer. So, which was pretty amazing. For the months I was writing this one, I could just entirely focus on the book. So whilst I regret that I couldn't do the other things, obviously,
Mm.
it did work. And then it got translated. I love this one. I haven't read it because I don't speak it fluent enough once.
Oh,
So,
Passion
but I
Crystal.
love Passion Crystal.
Oh,
I love the
I
title.
love that. Yeah.
Well, this one to be called, I'm going to call it A Passion for Crystals.
Yeah.
Um, so it has been translated into French, but this one has gone all around the world. So I get pictures sent to me from different countries where people have found my book, which is just really, really lovely.
When I had my mystical wellness studio with the crystal shop, your book was behind the counter.
Thank you. Yeah.
For everybody, in case there was any staff coming in or whatever. But yeah, I've still got it. I have it here, and because it's based on like the Acho principles as well from from the college, you can really see that it's very very informative, very well written. Yeah, you did a really good job with that.
Because they wanted it for the general public, but I wanted it to be really solid, you
Yeah,
know, so that someone really reading it would be able to do things with the crystals for themselves
yeah,
and would get ideas of what was important when you're handling crystals and would actually understand grounding.
yeah,
And the crystals can sometimes be a bit ungrounding, so you do have to take care of that. And
yeah.
so, yeah, it's got a lot of information in, and I really distilled as much as I could that was safe for the general public
Yeah.
to
But there's
work.
definitely some things in there that we would consider
Mm.
level 2 for the crystal therapy stuff as well. So I was
Oh,
quite surprised at
yeah.
that. But I use your book, even though I've had the training, I use your book as the foundation for a lot of my courses, a lot of my mystical wellness stuff, where we're bringing in crystals. And I always recommend it to people. So yeah, please
Oh,
go and buy the book. It's available on Amazon. Yeah,
it
and
is.
all good bookstores. Yeah.
So yes, so this is the next phase. I'm writing away in the background. I've got my
Yeah.
podcast evolving and growing, I hope.
Mm.
And oh, the other thing I wanted to talk to
Mm.
people about was my circle,
Yeah.
which I love. So the circle actually helps me try out. They know they're guinea pigs, really. It helps me try out my new visualizations and my new
Yeah.
exercises for the goddess book because
Mm.
I run this sort of goddess and crystal full moon circle. So, and it is a women's circle
Mm.
that runs on the Saturday closest to the full moon. So, and it is just lovely. I really enjoy meeting with the ladies. It's got a really nice atmosphere. It always makes me feel lovely, and they keep coming back for more as well. So
I've always enjoyed your moon circles, and you've had people from all over the world. You've got people from
um,
America coming
yeah,
in, and
yeah. I've got
yeah,
someone from Las Vegas at the
Las Vegas.
moment that's part of the circle. Has to
Yeah.
get up very early in the morning to join. And where else have I got? Yeah. There's been oh gosh, Czechoslovakia, Czech
Oh,
Republic.
oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me it didn't because I'm on the mind body spirit circuit, so it's like the weekends for me are always a bit
Too
tricky.
busy to,
Yeah, so
I know.
yeah, but yeah,
Yeah.
I always love it. I always look forward to those kind of things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, for people who are getting into crystals or they're getting into witchy and mystical wellness stuff, what would you recommend? Where should they start?
Oh gosh, where should they start?
Mm,
Where they feel drawn. I know
yeah,
that sounds really evasive as an answer, but there are so many ways you could take that. Some people that are into sort of feeling drawn to the witchy stuff will want to do herbalism.
yeah,
They'll just love herbs. Other people like us will love the crystals, or they will go, oh, actually, I do feel there's a goddess energy calling to me. The goddesses have really held me as I've gone along
yeah.
path, and different goddesses have kicked in for different parts of my journey.
Yeah, I think
So
it's your work with the goddesses really inspired me to work with the goddesses more. Because before that, I was like, I'm not Wiccan. That's not me.
don't
And
need
then
to.
every time we kind of had that introduction with a goddess and we went on that journey, it really touches you. very deeply and very emotionally sometimes. So I love, you're so inspiring with your goddess work, and such a varied pantheon of different goddesses as well. Amazing. Yeah.
Love them. I love them. In fact, one of the reasons that this book has taken a long time because they all want to be in the book.
Mm.
And I can't fit them all in the book because for
Yeah.
obvious reasons. So I've kind of had to edit um, but I have said to them, this is the deal. I'll get a publisher for the book, then I want a publisher for a card deck.
Yeah, I was just gonna say
Get a
that.
lot more goddesses in a
Yeah.
card deck, can't we? So,
Yeah.
that will be the next step is let's have
Yeah.
goddess cards.
Yeah. Tell us about your goddess lady behind you.
She's quite, I don't know if you know the story behind her. I have told you. So she's Luna. She is called Luna and moon goddess. And I got her from Glastonbury. She's by a sculptor called Philippa Bowers, who has got a shop now on the High Street in Glastonbury. I hope that's still there. It was when I bought her. And I bought her when I was just about to have a hysterectomy. I'd been teaching in Glastonbury. I was teaching my diploma course at the time, and I've been teaching at the Chalice Well. And it literally, I was coming home from Glastonbury, and it was still COVID precaution times. So I just had enough days of isolation between getting home from my course, and I had asked my guides for this, to get it as close to my teaching as possible without clashing. So I just had enough, literally, to the day, isolation between getting home from the course and going into hospital to have a hysterectomy, which I did need. I had a big fibroid that was pressing on my bladder and getting me up a lot of times a night, and it was wearing. So as a treat to myself, I'd been looking at Philippa's sculptures for years, ever since I've been going to Glastonbury. I think I've been admiring her sculptures. I'm going to buy one. This time I'm going to buy one. So I bought Luna, and she came back. She had the car seat round. She was on the passenger seat of the car, wrapped in lots of bubble wrap with the seatbelt on, and brought her. But when I stopped and thought about it, A, I run the moon circle. But B, she is also hollow inside. She has, I think of the hysterectomy, some people are really not very kind to women who have hysterectomies. And I think of it, well, no, I've got a space. I still have a space within me, like Luna there, that has got all sorts of wonderful creative possibilities. I just don't have a physical womb anymore. I'm still, I've heard people say that since they've had it's never been said to me, and they would get in trouble if they said it to me, but people have said to women I know that have had hysterectomies, you're not a proper woman anymore, which I think is such a cruel and unfair and unkind thing to say. So I am a proper woman. Everyone who's had a hysterectomy is still a proper woman. You have a space within you for creative work. So no, I wouldn't have had it if I didn't need it, but I needed it, and it was a really good idea for me to have it, and it was really good for my health that I went through with that, and I was very well looked after by Spirit. And I'll just say, if anyone is heading towards a hysterectomy, I wrote up the hysterectomy experience from my spiritual perspective as well, my whole experience, like I would in like Behind the Angels. I wrote it up on my blog, and there's several parts to that, which I've been thinking of binding together as a little book for ladies of this kind of spiritual ilk that are thinking about a hysterectomy or have to have one. So yes, so Luna is my goddess for the moon circle. She looks after the moon circle, and she always has a little fire in her belly lit. She's got a candle in her belly when I'm online with people like you on a podcast, or with my clients, or with my circle, or I'm teaching online. And she's also got crystals in her as well. So yeah, so that's the sculpture.
Yeah, I've always wanted one. But one day I'll get
A
one.
lot of years, because they're not
Yeah.
cheap things.
No, yeah, they're real statement pieces, aren't they?
Mm.
Yeah. So
they are
what's coming
definitely
up for you the rest of this year then? What do you have
okay.
planned other than your book?
The books, as I say, I don't know about you, but I do a vision board for the year. So right at the beginning of the year, I make my vision board, and right there on the vision board is I finish my goddess book, because it's like if I don't get it finished, it would just be added to and twiddled with forever. And I really want to get it out to the world and share it. Building the Sacred Vessel podcast, definitely. Carrying on with my lovely moon circle and working with my clients. I've just introduced, I have been dragged and screamed into modern technology. I have now got a booking system. So people can actually choose their appointment times and get a Zoom link and pay through the booking system, because I like working with clients. I really enjoy doing the healing, and I'm found that working over Zoom, I do most of my work distance now over Zoom. So now it's all automated. It's brilliant. And that's the latest new thing, because it's always been oh, well, I could do this day on that time. Or could you do this? And you know, the feeling of bouncing emails backwards and forwards, trying to find a time. So that's exciting. What else am I doing? I don't know. That's quite a lot, isn't it? But oh, and a few workshops and things as well.
Yeah, you've
And
always
I
got a
just say,
lot going on. But you're great with technology, so you're a lot further ahead than other crystal colleges, I think.
in
Yeah,
some places maybe, but
yeah,
yeah, I do my best. And Zoom, I have to say, has been a complete godsend, and
yeah.
my business has changed so much since. It's really opened up the world to me. And I had a lady in America this afternoon I was working with, and it's let me be that international healer that you spoke
Yeah,
about in the introduction, because
yeah.
you can reach across the world.
We haven't talked about your TV work.
My TV. Well, it's I've been on TV. I have been on TV. That was really nice. I'm up for more if anyone wants me on telly. Now, I had a really lovely experience on Gemporia, and I think you can still go on the Gemporia site and read their interview with me. They invited me in to film an interview, and then they used bits of the interview in their programming when they were talking about crystals and healing. So it was actually it was a really good experience, and it did make me think, I like this. And what you don't realize, and you definitely, I don't think I've ever said to you, is how camera shy I was. I used to avoid the camera, full stop. I hated it. I've done a few radio interviews in the past. I hated that. This kind of thing would have just sent me into a sweat. It is proof you can get past all these hurdles.
I'm the same because like a couple of years ago, I do like a reel for Facebook, but I would never be on it. And people say to me, "You need to be camera facing," and I was like, "I just can't do it. I can't do it." And then now, people would never think that was me because we do talks, we do lectures and things like that, and we're doing podcasts. But it took us it was a lot, wasn't it? Big hurdles to get to this point for us both. I think big steps. Yeah,
Yeah.
very
And I
brave.
am, I know
Yeah,
it's hard to believe, I am actually a shy person.
yeah.
I'm
I'm
an
I'm a
introvert.
hermit. I'm literally a
Yeah.
hermit. The way to design that I'm a hermit, so I just like to hide away. Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
you can push past your own limitations,
yeah,
and it does make a difference. How do people know about you if they can't find out, if they can't see
yeah.
you? So yeah, it's been really good. And the funny thing is, I don't know if you came to the Crystal Conference I ran in Landringod probably about 10 years ago now, but we had 100 crystal healers from all over the UK, which was fab. Um, and lots of talks and workshops and things. But they had, because it was a big hall, they had a microphone there, and I was scared of speaking on a microphone. And I was the compere, the host, because I'd organised it. By the end, you could barely prise that microphone out of my hand. I loved it.
That's so cool. I've not done a lot of microphone work, although I did do training this year to be a sound and lighting technician, so that we did have to work with microphones, setting them up and sound check and things like that. So I'm trying to get there. Yeah.
That sounds exciting.
Yeah. A little bit tricky because I'm deaf now, so
Right.
trying to do sound when you're deaf's not the best. But yeah, so I was on the stage doing sound checks with the microphones and things like that. So that's a good step forward. Yeah.
Well, I am waiting. I've been told so many times by so many different psychics, we see you on a big stage, see you speaking on a big stage.
Yeah.
And it's like, and apart from that conference where I had the 100 in front of me, I haven't really done that yet. So I reckon there's still more to come. Yeah.
Yeah.
Watch this
That's amazing.
space.
Yeah,
I'm totally
definitely.
up for it.
Yeah. A couple of years ago, a psychic channel said to me, "I see you in a room that looks like a United Nations of planets." And I
Ooh.
see you there, and that kind of sparked this last 2 years of moving into my galactic work. So yeah, I'm getting there now. So yeah, so
Right.
you can do that for
Yeah.
sure. This has been so good, Lauren. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about before we finish up?
No, just if people are liking the vibe
Yeah,
and want to know more about me, please pop over to my website, which is my name, laurendesilva.co.uk, and please sign up to the newsletter because a lot of the things that I put out only
yeah,
go to my newsletter subscribers. They don't go out more publicly because I like to nurture my community.
hmm.
So yeah, please subscribe because you'll find out much more about what I'm doing that way.
And
So
there's a lot of great information about the moons that you put out there as well, which I actually copy and went to mine.
well, I do my research first, so it's not like it all just comes out of my head.
Yeah,
I spend a lot of time
so
going
I love
around
that.
and
Thank you.
finding stuff. Know your secrets now.
So
So
yeah, because sometimes I've got so much going on, I think, oh
yeah.
great,
Oh,
kind of put
Lauren
that to
sent the
my
newsletter.
newsletter.
I know what's happening now.
Yeah, yeah, perfect.
So, yeah.
So this has been amazing. And so you run all the usual social media. Do you have a YouTube channel
Um,
set up? Because I couldn't
I
see.
have it. I
Yeah.
tell you what I did with, and this is a lesson to all of us. With YouTube, I had an original channel set up. My ground and protect visualization, which you can go and find on there, has got a
Yes.
gazillion views. I mean,
Mm.
big. I had completely ignored YouTube in the intervening years.
Mm.
Actually, trying to resurrect it now, I get like 30, 40, 50 views,
Mm.
not the tens of thousands.
Yeah.
And it'll be because I went so dormant for so long and left it
Yeah.
alone. So I am in that kind of, can I get it going again? I've also listened to you because you're on Substack, and
Yeah.
I moved my Sacred Vessel podcast onto a home on Substack. So you
Yeah.
can find me there now, and I'm planning to just put a bit more of the Sacred Vessel type stuff onto there. So like, here's my latest cookbook disaster and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. Things that are more tailored towards the sacred vessel
Yeah.
work, women's health in
Mm.
general, really, on that
Yep.
platform.
So
But
we've got your
yeah,
Spotify as well, Loving Your Sacred Vessel. So yeah,
right.
please follow the Spotify. Are you on Apple Podcast as
It's
well?
on Apple
Yeah.
Podcast. Yeah.
Perfect.
So you'll
Yeah.
find it in the big ones. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Oh, thank you so much. We'd love to have you come back on as well
Hmm.
at some point. That'd be brilliant.
Yeah, it's been fun.